Enter Tassadar, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kyle Aris, and today I'm going to be looking at a game between FadeSG and Clink. Going to be spawning as the pink Zerg up in this 12 o'clock position, whilst Fade spawns in 3 o'clock position on Terminus Re. This game was played in one of the Go4SC2 Cups, and I was following Fade's progression throughout the entire thing. And this was a corker of a game to a certain degree. There were a few mistakes here and there, but hey, there's always a few mistakes, as in general in these games. So Fade looking like he's going to be able to secure what looks like a possible Forge expand here on Terminus Re, a huge map, and I wouldn't be surprised if we did see the Zerg player go for a quick expand as well, since you can pretty much get away with that in general on such a huge map, especially with Fade here, going to be scouting it the wrong direction. And whilst this game is getting geared up, I would like to make a few announcements. I'm still continuing with CSN to do the GSL coverage, so please check that out. That would be excellent if you can. All the threads are on Team Liquid, and they are corkers. We get exclusive pictures and things like that, as well as inside info like min from Slayer's min, etc. So it's very, very good in general. Also, I've started build. If anybody has seen those paper models, the paper StarCraft 2 models on Team Liquid, I started building the Immortal one, and it literally, oh my god, literally it took me 2 hours to make a leg. So it's going to be a long-term project, I think, because I'm really bad with those kinds of things. Oh well, it doesn't matter too much. So that Forge for Fade has completed, and we do see a spawning pool going down for Clink, so he's going to be going for that gas speedling opening, and no doubt. And Clink here has scouted Fade's position already and seen that there is a Forge down, so he's going to know that this Forge play is occurring. We do see Fade going to be throwing down that Nexus at a very cool 16, so very, very fast Nexus here from Fade. And he has just ended up scouting Clink's position, so he's going to know exactly what is going on very, very soon. Do have a gateway going down now for Fade, trying to complete this wall as quickly as possible, and that is always the best way to do it against a Zerg buddy, especially if you're going to go for this Forge fast expand. Zergling speed is now on the way, and we do have Clink just saturating as well as he can do right now. Have a cannon and a pylon going down for Fade in the front of his base, and always very clever to reinforce that as quickly as possible. And now, as Protoss, I always feel that when I'm in this position, there are a few things that I'm very vulnerable to, and you will probably know what those are. The first big thing I'm going to be thinking about is, does the Zerg want to actually pressure me instead of going for a mass kind of economy-based build? And if he does want to pressure me, how is he going to do that? And the main way is where he is going for a hatchery right now, but he can still pressure off this 2 base. So the main way that I really feel that Zerg can pressure from this is, well, or there's 2 ways. It's either Mutalisks, with Mutalisk Harass jumping from your natural to main, keeping you on your toes as much as possible, or going for a Nidus Worm in a position where you really feel vulnerable. And on this map, Nidus Worm is such a good choice, as if you don't have all this area covered in this second natural, and in your main over here, and over here, just so much you can actually exploit as a Zerg player. And we do have a layer morphing in as well for Clink at this point. There's just so much ground that you need to cover when you're going for this Forge fast expand as a Protoss player that you really need to keep an eye on, otherwise a Nidus can be so punishing. So we do have a core going down now for Fade, just completing here, and Fade seems pretty kind of confident to actually sort this out in 1 second. Sorry, I just had to stop the stream because the recording, so I had a bit of lag. We do have that first zealot here, so he's going to be probably positioning it there just so he can complete that walling as best as he can. Warp gate research now on the way, and a lot of gas actually being mined now for Fade. Probably going to be going for a higher tech situation, and indeed we do have an Nidus Worm going down for Clink, so he's going to be able to probably throw it down here, as I'm pretty sure that our Protoss player doesn't have vision of that. No, he doesn't. So this Overlord is in a really nice position right now. Let's see if he has any other Overlords in good positions. He could use this Overlord in order to make one here, but ultimately, again, this is a really bad spot that you're in if you're a Protoss player and you don't have your full base scouted. And on Terminus, this is something you can fall subject to in a very bad way. So we do have a spine crawler now going down for Clink. I'm really not sure that's needed, as the Protoss is very unlikely to pressure at such an early stage after going for that very fast expand. Twilight Council now on the way for Fade as well, and a few more gateways just going down and completing very quickly. That Nidus Worm is now morphing in, so oh my god, this could be extremely bad here for Fade. He is going to hear this noise, and indeed does hear that noise, and now the Zerglings are going to be streaming into this mineral line. Fade actually ignoring all the Zerglings and just going for the Nidus Worm, but has forced a retreat, as all these Zerglings are going to be able to do a ton of damage to Fade's mineral line in general. Nice force field there, preventing the Zerglings from actually getting down, but there is so much damage that they can potentially do up here. It is crazy. He is going to try and get this down this ramp again, and indeed he does just before the sentries warp in. These cannons raining down havoc on these Zerglings, but at the same time there are enough probes here, probably to clean this up actually. And now Fade in a bit of a bad spot, as Clink behind this is just droning so hard, and that's really bad there for Fade at that point. He is throwing down another force field in order to just try and kind of prevent more Zerglings from streaming down, as he doesn't see the Nidus Worm actually doing anything right now. More Zerglings actually going to be coming in though, going to be trying to take out this Nexus as quickly as possible. Fade really needs more units in order to be able to get up here and take out all these Zerglings before they take out the Nexus, but they are going to get the Nexus. Oh my god. We do have Burrow on the way for Clink as well, and Fade now moving up to try and take out the Nidus Worm. All these Zerglings do indeed take out the Nexus though now, and Fade is Psylocked. A few good force fields there try and block off the Zerglings from taking out the sentries, and but the Zerglings probably going to be able to clean this up, as there is not enough here for Fade to actually do significant damage to those Zerglings. But at the same time, we do have Blink on the way for Fade, and more Stalkers just going to be coming up here to try and clean this up. Going to be trying to micro those back as quickly as possible, but Speedlings are so much faster than Stalkers, and may get this around. Nice micro by these Stalkers, actually preventing as much damage as possible, and in fact saves both of those Stalkers, so not too bad at all there by Fade. We do have a Hydralisk Den morphing in for Clink now as well, as a second hatchery going down. Oh my god, Clink's going to be in such a good economic position. He's going to be so far ahead. So what can Fade do now? He is going to be expanding to this second natural, and Overlord is going to be able to spot this very, very soon. Groove Spine's now on the way as well, and if we just go to the units killed tab, we see, oh my god, 8 workers actually going down for Fade at this point. So actually, Fade didn't lose as many workers as would be expected for this. Oh, but another Nidus Worm actually going to be going down in this second natural of Fade, and this could cause even more damage. We do have an Evo chamber going up, as well as a few more gateways, and going to be just rallying in Zerglings here that are just going to be able to do a ton of damage once again. Fade reacting and going to be pulling these probes away as quickly as possible. But this Nidus Worm actually didn't have as many Zerglings in it as you would expect. Blinking down now with these Stalkers, going to be able to take out as many of these as possible. Even the probes getting in on the action. He really doesn't want to lose this Nexus, as his economy is looking very weak here. And burrowing the Zerglings. How annoying can you be as Clink? Great use of burrow there. But unburrowing them, I'm not so sure that was a wise choice, as he could have... He was never going to take out that Nexus with the burrow, and he could have just left them there for ages until Fade actually got this robo facility up, which he is getting now, but he would have had to have waited for an observer, and he would have been just chilling out there for such a long time with those Stalkers. So Fade in a very bad position. I'm really not sure what he can do from here. He's lost so much economy. Going to be setting a Zealot here on rally just in case any more Nidus Worms do appear. But again, at the same time, this whole main base is vulnerable to a Nidus attack, and he could just stream Zerglings down this ramp, Clink. So I don't know, Fade is going to have to do something to pull it back into this game. He is going to be moving out here with these Stalkers, but a lot of Hydralisks here up in the front base of Clink. He is throwing down a Roach Warren as well, getting a Changeling in order to be able to do a bit of scouting, and that actually changes into a Zealot very early. I'm quite surprised at how early that did change. Since normally they only ever change when you actually see some units. Overseer coming in here now, probably going to be able to be picked off by these Stalkers. Nice Blink, going to be using that to take out that Overseer, and does indeed. And Overseers do not come cheap, so Not too bad a play there from Fade, although it was pretty much sacrificed by Clink. So Clink just continuing to produce Hydralisks. He is grabbing that Spire just in case the Protoss does decide to go for Colossus, and I won't be surprised if we do see Colossus at some point. Have we seen a robotics bay go down? We haven't just yet, but Fade is going to be expanding again to his main. How often do you see people expanding to their mains? That's quite odd, but Clink just going to be continuing to produce units. Spinecrawler's going down in this third base, but again, I'm thinking that Clink is being a bit over defensive at this point. He's done a lot of damage to the Protoss, and there's really not a whole lot that the Protoss can do, especially against this number of Hydralisks. These Hydras just rip through gateway units, and oh my god, a Spire takes literally forever to make. This has been here going for so long, and it's only half done. So Glial Reconstitution is on the way. We do have +2 weapons on the way as well for Clink. And at this point, Fade going to be transferring drones back to his main, which is the strangest sentence in the world. A few changelings going to be dancing around in here, getting good scouting intel, but they do indeed die as Fade looks to maybe put on some pressure. He really needs to do something in order to be able to get himself back into this game, as he is very far behind. Just coming to the income tab here. Actually, the income is very close. So Clink, despite all this pressure, has somehow kept, I don't know, he's not very well saturated in his main, and now that I look at it, he's not very well saturated at any of these bases. He is going for this fourth base over here in a pretty hidden position, but ultimately, I don't know. It's anybody's game at this point. We are seeing a Dark Shrine going down. Where is that Dark Shrine? A few more gateways as well as a second forge. The Dark Shrine is going to be warping in at the back of Fade's base, and we actually see a few Mutalisks going to be spawning for Clink. So he's looking to do a bit of harass. I really don't think he's going to be using these for a main composition. We did see just before 18 roaches get produced though, so Clink's production is just exploding behind all the pressure that he has been doing. And these Mutalisks going to be popping very soon, going to be probably able to do a lot of damage, especially since Fade doesn't really have much to be able to defend against this. Templar Archives is going to be going up, and this, actually, these Mutalisks could spot this Dark Shrine, especially if he swings back here to this natural to actually try and pick off probes. We do have Fade going to be moving out with a few Stalkers, the nimble units, the fast units, in order to maybe do some harass, and moving out with Stalkers alone is very clever, as they are just able to do so much damage and be able to retreat very quickly. But Muta's going to be flying in here trying to pick off some probes, but ultimately he has seen that Dark Shrine with these Mutalisks, so he's going to be aware that DTs could potentially be on the way, just flying around with these Mutalisks once again, trying to take out some probes in this main, but really not doing as much damage as he would have liked to. Fade is going to be trying to secure this fourth base here, and really pulling himself back into this game under a lot of pressure. Fade going to be losing this Stalker, but a nice blink there takes out at least one Mutalisk and maybe even an Overlord. Oh, the Overlord just goes down, Psylocking the Zerg player here, whilst the Zerg player does try and break down these back rocks and try and do some damage in this second expansion. He's going to be coming down here. This one Zealot does notice it, and Fade's going to be wanting to move back very soon with all the Stalker units. He does take down that natural. Oh my god, Clink in a really good position here, just pressuring everywhere as he cleans up this base here, and these Hydralisks are so slow off creep. Oh my god. But at the same time, whilst retreating with these units, he does have Mutalisks trying to harass this pylon, and some good force fields going to be separating a few of these units, whilst trapping all these in order to be able to die pretty much in the end. And Fade actually doing quite significant damage to the armies of Clink at this point. There are still the Mutalisks in the back of Fade's base, but Clink going to be losing a lot of these units, and actually the Hydralisks not doing as much damage to these Stalkers as one would think. A lot of Zerglings were being made at that point by Clink, and he's just trying to get this base up and running as quickly as possible. Wow, great Overseer placement. Overseer placement? Great Observer placement. Does in fact scout that, so really nice play there by Fade, and he is going to be blinking up here, trying to deny these Mutalisks any more harassment on this base. So now throwing down a lot of cannons in the front of this base here. You're going to be trying to saturate this base as quickly as possible, and a lot of Zerglings actually running down to this position here. I'm not so sure why, as there is nothing down here. I'm not so sure what Clink scouted, but Fade looking to put on some pressure with Stalkers, and may get it. In fact, just blinking backwards. Did I see a blink backwards, or did my mind just lapse? I don't know. Getting an Overseer kill as well. That is, again, big money. Probably going to be moving out to take out as many of these creep tumors as possible, as that really does cripple Zerg movement a lot. But at the same time, we do see a huge Zergling running into this base here, and also some Mutas trying to harass the main as well. Really going to be needing to blink back here. Good force fields prevent all the probes from actually dying. But at the same time, Mutalisks in the main base of Fade are going to be able to take out a lot of these probes. There are a few cannons here, going to be able to deny a lot of harassment. And wow, actually the cannons do a lot of damage to these Mutalisks. But the Mutalisks are going to be shooed away in time, and actually great use of these Mutas here, just keeping them out of range of the cannons whilst doing a lot of harassment to these probes. And if he does take down this pylon, both these cannons could be underpowered, and geez, Clink actually attacking from quite a lot of avenues here. We do see another base going down for Clink, and that is indeed scouted once again by Fade. He is going to be moving out with a lot of these Stalkers, probably going to try and take out a lot of these Hydralisks, and the Hydralisks are going to be moving in, but really not too great a concave here. Clink would be in a good position to actually spread these units out a little bit more. We do have Mutas still harassing the bases of Fade at this point, and just doing a lot of damage, but at the same time, this base did go down. I'm pretty sure it went down from DT harass, and the DTs continue to harass down here. Sorry I missed that, there was just too much action going on at the same time. We do have Zerglings going to be trying to take out the probes in this base, taking out so many probes. Oh my god, that was so many probes lost for Fade. Now he's down by almost 100 supply. There's a few Zealots going to be warping in at the same time, whilst this DT, this lone DT, is going to be able to take out this hatchery. Clink cannot be in all these places at once. So once again, I do apologise for missing this base going down. It is going up once again, but at the same time, there's just so much going on. Fade is going to be looking to pressure this base anytime soon, although Clink has a very, very scary force here. As I said before, oh wow, a few Mutalisks being sacrificed to the Protoss gods there, and Clink just all over the map. Another base does fall to a DT, and this DT is a hero. 2 kills on this DT, which are both hatcheries. Can you imagine that? That is insane. Whilst Fade just sort of doing a light contain here with these Stalkers. Not too good positioning of this force here for Fade. Nice force fields though, going to be splitting up a lot of these units. As a lone DT here, there is no Overseer. The Overseers are in bad position in order to be able to scout that, and one Hydralisk actually was caught quite strangely in that, and these Hydras going to be moving out now, but without creep they're so vulnerable. We do have Fade going to be trying to secure a 5th here, and Clink also going for a 5th down in this position. But at the same time, this DT harass has just done so much damage. The DT finally did fall to this Queen and Overseer. But Fade just pulling his way back into this game, as Clink is making a lot of bad decisions ultimately. Really not defending these bases as well as he should be, and allowing Fade to pull himself back into this game from the jaws of defeat basically, as Clink was doing great harass in the opening stages. Now Clink going to be moving into here, cancelling all those cannons, throwing down some alright force fields, and taking out as many of these Zerglings as possible before actually engaging the Hydras. But the Hydras look like they're going to be able to take the expansion. Wise decision here though not to focus the Nexus, as this force is way more important to focus down. A few Guardian shields going to be going up and some more nice force fields, but ultimately these Hydras actually, along with the Queen, going to be able to drop some transfuse on those as well. Going to be able to do great damage to this Nexus, and finally it does go down. What is going on down here? A few Mutas just hanging out, whilst a lot of these Hydras do burrow, but there are observers there to actually spot those. A lot of the Hydras are going to need to flee, even though they took down that Nexus. They are whittling down in numbers, and Clink actually sacrificing a lot of his units ultimately, and Fade going to be pulling himself back into this. Oh my god, 50 Zerglings on the production tab, ladies and gentlemen. That is ridiculous, as Clink is going to be moving around with these Mutalisks. in order to be able to do maybe some more harass on the main base. I wouldn't be surprised if he chose to actually go there and just do as much damage as possible. We do see that Nexus going up for Fade again, and as you can see, he's expanding towards his opponent because this is his primary avenue of attack. You may as well expand towards him in order to actually do some damage. Mute is going to be coming into the main base of Fade here, and probably going to be able to do a lot of damage, probably going to be able to Psylock him here eventually. But at the same time, we have a huge engagement at the front of Clink's base, going to be pushing up with a lot of these Stalkers, and Zealot's going to be able to do a lot of damage, probably getting a nice surround there, but probably not enough here as Fade's just blinking backwards, denying the surround. But at the same time, we do have a lot of Mutalisks in the natural of Fade, going to be able to rain down havoc on these Stalkers, doing a lot of damage here. But the Stalkers actually, with the +1 armor upgrade, not taking as much damage as he would have liked, as Clink has neglected a lot of his upgrades. And this base is almost up here for Fade at this point, but the Mutalisk is going to be able to maybe take down the DT Shrine. Actually, I doubt it, as these Stalkers are going to be able to deny the harass for much longer. And Clink actually going to have to retreat here. And let's go to the income tab. As you can see, Clink's income is really falling behind. He really doesn't have this base mining as well as he should do. He did have an Nidusworm popping up there in order to be able to get his drones over there. And this base just been neglected for so long. And Clink really failing under pressure here in the late game of PvZ, and not even having Hive Tech or anything like that going up just yet. He does have a macro hatch, so his macro did slip ever so slightly in the earlier stages of this game, and these Mutalisks, being ever so pesky, just going to be able to just keep poking and prodding at Fade's bases, whilst Fade just has commanding lead in the economy battle. And Clink here just in a bad spot. I really think that Clink should be doing more to actually get these bases up and running. There is a DT walking around over here, whilst the Muta harass does continue in the bases of Fade, just picking off as many probes as he can do. This DT going to be able to come up here, going to be trying to focus down this Nidusworm, but ultimately does get picked off by this Overseer and 2 Hydralisks. So now more Muta harass going to be occurring in the 4th base of Fade. Going to be taking out a lot of probes. Wow, these Mutalisks have so many kills between them. Been ever so annoying for this entire time. But at the same time, we have this Observer just looking around in the base of Clink, and this Overseer does spot this, so he's going to be able to take out this Observer no problem, as the Mutalisks just fly across the Stalkers. Really bad control here by Clink at this point, whilst Fade just battles his way back in. He is going to be throwing down another 2 Assimilators, and no doubt going to be going for a killing blow anytime soon, as Clink's economy is just dead, really waning in comparison to the economy of Fade. And at the same time though, Fade really doesn't have any gas coming in, so he really can't spend it that well. Going to be blinking in here and doing a little bit of damage to the Mutalisks, but getting a bit too close to these Roaches and Hydras. But at the same time, going to be engaging here. This really looks like a last stand for Clink, as he really has no more economy actually. He has a little bit saved up, but not much he can really invest in. And now, actually killing a lot of those Roaches, going to be blinking up into the natural of Clink, and doing quite a bit of damage. We do have a few Zealots going to be reinforcing, and 7 Hydralisks in the production. So Clink at this point has a lot of, like, idle lava, but seriously, Fade is just doing so much damage at this point, and really kind of forcing Clink to not do much in the mining area. But Clink just neglecting his base, is really not doing as much as he should be able to. Fade going to be pushing up into this base of Clink, and this is really the only last mining base for Clink. If he kills this off, it's going to mean bad news bears for Clink, taking down that Nidusworm, forcing the reinforcements to just cease. And Clink does indeed GG, falling under the pressure. I really think that Clink could have secured that game, but bad mistakes really just led him to ultimate loss. And Fade takes the game and did indeed advance on to the next round of the Go4SC2 Cup. So thank you very much for watching this, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a bit of a long game and a bit of a more odd game in the how PvZ goes. So if you like what you see, please do subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.